Hi, everybody. It's Gene Simmons, and you're not, and you're listening to the Potter Than Hell podcast with Steve, BC, BB, and Dylan. But you knew that, didn't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is your last stop on the crazy train of hard rock and heavy metal. So sit back, buckle in, and hang on. Here we go.
Hello, Potter Than Hellions. Welcome back to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is Steve, your host. I'm joined by
BB.
Our keyboard player this evening is
Dylan.
And we have a special, awesome returning guest host, Stephen Michael. How are you, buddy?
What's going on, fellas?
Not much at all. BC, still on assignment.
Unbelievable.
I think his passport got held up in Germany or something like that, so he's on hiatus, and
he went over for a little Oktoberfest.
Yeah, he went a little early, so but he's gonna keep him there for another week or so.
BC is short for been caught.
Yeah.
Living that alternative lifestyle, is he?
Yeah.
I don't want to know. All right, hey Stephen, welcome back, and glad to have you back on here today. This is an episode we've been trying to do for a little while, and I definitely wanted to have you involved in this one because we talked about it a couple different times of doing this episode. And before we get rolling on anything, how's things going with your podcast?
Things are going fan-freaking-tastic. Couldn't be better. Everything's just rolling along. We've got a bunch of interview episodes coming up. We're trying to space them out a little bit. Sonny and I like to switch it up between interview episodes and themed episodes. So just a whole bunch of stuff. We just released this long, epic interview with Craig Goldie, the guitar player that replaced Vivian Campbell in Dio, and now he's got a new band called Dream Child. It's super awesome. If you're into Rainbow or Deep Purple, you're really going to love this album.
Who is he?
His name's Craig Goldie.
Never heard of him.
He's the guitar player in Dio Disciples, and he's the guitar player that replaced Vivian Campbell in Dio. He was on the Dream Evil record.
I never heard of him. No, holy fucking way.
It's really? Okay, not Dio fan?
Yeah.
Or
No, we talked about him on a couple different episodes. Great player. I'm not crazy about his stage presence. I don't think he's great to see live, but he's a fantastic player.
Let's not bash the guy.
I'm not bashing him. I think he's fantastic. I love Dream Evil. That's a freaking great album. And we saw him actually with Dio's Disciples, and I can't wait to hear that. You just posted that episode, right?
Yeah, it just came out today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't get a chance. Actually, I just got caught up on your guys' episode yesterday. I had a little bit of time this weekend. I was able to catch up on some stuff. So great. Yeah, you guys are knocking them dead out there. The interviews are great. I love the theme ones. The Dokken episode was great. I gave you guys my top 5 for that one. Really good.
Was Dream Warriors in your top 5 for that?
Dream Warriors was not in my top 50.
I like Dream Warriors. You don't like that song?
I hate it.
That connects with Craig Goldie since his band's Dream Child. That's one of the sequels to Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, Steve, I know Steve's a big Deep Purple fan, so you ought to actually like that Dream Child record.
Yeah, you know what? I listened to when you guys did it as your music spotlight 2 episodes ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And I thought it was good. It was really Deep Purple-ish, and the guy had a Dio-esque type singing going on there.
Yeah, he has that tone for sure.
And I apologize. I did not mean to bash Craig Goldie before. He's excellent player. Because actually, I saw the Sacred Heart tour twice. I saw it once with Vivian Campbell and once with Craig Goldie when Vivian was gone in the middle of the tour. I saw them. 2 different shows, so I've seen him since he came out. Never got to see House of Lords though, or Jafria.
Yeah. He just texted me. He said he won't be coming on your show. He's listening to everything we're recording right now.
Damn,
you blew it.
Damn. No, I didn't mean to bash on him. He is cool. Real good player, and he's been in a ton of bands too. He's been in a bunch of different stuff lately. He's the guy that's part of the hologram thing too, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is. That's part of the Dio Disciples thing. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that, but not a whole bunch. But he had some great stories. I mean, literally, he spent 2 hours on the phone with me.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Which was crazy. I mean, he shared all kinds of stories. There's some really cool stories when he was in Jafria and they were opening up for Deep Purple on the Perfect Strangers tour. Because Blackmore was his hero. Like, Blackmore was his guitar god. And so he shares some stories about meeting him for the first time and just all kinds of Dio stories, and it's just a really, really honest and open interview that he does, and so I thought it was really, really cool, some of the stuff that he shared.
All right, cool. You guys out there, look for Stephen and Sonny Pooney Esquire on the Growin Up Rock Podcast. Great show those guys have out there, and you can enjoy both of these guys on several episodes that we have on our podcast. And Dylan, you got something first, right?
Yeah, this is our first episode that we're recording after we found out we've won the Steamtown Music Awards. So we wanted to take the opportunity to thank everybody for voting for us and really getting us into the win. It was a fun ceremony, an awesome event put on by Joe Cavison and Ken Norton that led into the Electric City Music Conference. A lot of really talented people won their respective awards, but we were up against some really tough competition, some really awesome podcasts. So it's thanks to you guys in the audience for voting for us to get us in there. So thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody out there, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know I kind of shared it a little bit too much, trying to get everybody out there to vote for us. Joe and Ken put on a great show. A good 3-4 hour show with all different local bands, and the local music was awesome. So all our fans out there, all my family, thank you for voting. Thanks for giving us 10 seconds and a vote, and it's really appreciated.
And thank you to the Juggalo wrestler that gave us the award, Carver Cross, I believe his name is.
Yeah, that was a great night. We had when we first got there, it was myself, BC, and Dylan, and they did a red carpet interview kind of thing, and they made me talk. Go figure. BB hadn't gotten there yet. It was a great time. Rich Howells interviewed us, and that was a cool, quick little interview. It's online. Maybe Dylan can post the link to it or something.
Yeah, it's on our page.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, because I had shared it while we were there.
Yeah, it was a great event. The place was absolutely freaking jammed, and I want to personally thank my awesome co-host BC that started out with me. Dylan does a absolutely fantastic job of editing the podcast and adding a little flavor, a little back and forth with me, little yin to my yang there, and BB for coming on board after he was on for a couple episodes. We decided to bring him into the fold, and I want to thank my wife for putting up with all this, my craziness and me yelling at Dylan all the time and talking about it all the time. And Mark Satorka for doing our music. And I'm going to take a couple, maybe 2 or 3 minutes here. I want to thank all of our co-hosts that we've had on. And actually, I went back and I went through them all in order of how they appeared on here. I already talked about BB, so you're already out, BB. So.
All right.
See you later.
Jen Roberts Vena, Sonny Pooney Esquire, Jim Polkowski, Chris Jankowskis, Carl Kennedy. He was our first interview that we had. Heather Shakaris, Mark Anthony K, Rob Kelleher, Chris Granza, the great and famous Stephen Michael that is on here with us this evening. The interviews we had Billy Rock Kersetter from the band Harpo, Sean Duncan from DC4, Dakota Denman from Denman, Rick Rule and Jim Phipps from Every Mother's Nightmare. We also had Ken Keenan, Ed Jankowskis, Johnny D, the former drummer for Brittany Fox and current Doro and Kick, the NXS experienced drummer. David Hudson and Chris Craig, the Digital Killed Radio Star podcast. We had those guys on for an episode. We did a Metallica one with them. Maurice Manichetti, Chris Sinzak did an Aerosmith one with us. Our good friend Dave Borowski. Joe Polo has always been a great supporter of our podcast. He did a little bit with us. You guys heard it a couple weeks ago when we were in Nashville. We put that out. Troy Lucetta for giving us a cool bumper out there. And the podcasts out there that have we've become friends with. Matt Porter from the Kiss Room, Ken Mills from the podcast, David and Chris from Digital Killed, Stephen and Sonny from Growin Up, Joe, Jody, and Sonny from Podcast Rock City, Decibel Geeks, Chris and Aaron. Julian and Ken and Lonnie and Mark from Kiss FAQ. The Ages of Rock guys we got to be good friends with down in Nashville. Dennis Talbot, Bill Alge, and Alan Tate. You guys just, kick ass. Adam Scotches we had on there. R.A. Furiosi we had. The director of where I work, Marie Zaccone, she allows us to record where we record. And also congrats to our friend of the podcast and fellow, he's a local radio, he won Best Radio Personality, Mark Hoover, great fan of the show, good supporter of the show. Traverse the Abyss, we were asked to present the Best Metal Band of the Year award at the music conference, and the band Traverse the Abyss was the band that won. And these guys are a great metal band. They're, what do you think, Dylan? Kind of a cross between extreme and, I don't know. They're like a real, heavy thrash band.
Yeah.
Some kind of screaming vocals, but some clean vocals. Like kind of a cross between maybe Anthrax and like Bullet for My Valentine or Trivium, something along that line.
Yeah.
Joe Caviston and Ken Norton, guys put on an awesome thing. Rich Howells from the New York, from the NAPA scene. And you guys out there for listening to us. We really appreciate you guys voting for us. And putting our name out there, interacting with us, and share us with your friends. And you guys, we love you guys, and really thank you for everything, you guys. And I'm out of breath. Whew.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. But
Holy shit! I can't believe the music didn't play out that thing.
Yeah,
well, Dylan's gonna
I
put
tried.
something out underneath there.
I tried. There was people taking the podium, and he was holding on for dear life.
I mean, I didn't see it firsthand, but I actually think I saw like this huge coat hanger come out from the side of the curtain and pull Steve off by his neck, but I'm not positive.
I'll tell you what. By the
Like
time
the old Gong Show.
It
by
was
the
like-
time we
It was like Twister. They're holding on to the bar. They're trying to keep from getting into the tornado. That was
by
it.
the time we ended up. We had already gotten our award, and by the time we ended up presenting the medal award, I was fucking hammered. And I kind of vaguely remember getting the microphone and yelling at the crowd, kind of getting them going and stuff.
Yelling at them. She missed it.
But it was cool. And I was telling these guys, I remember my wife came down, and then after we got our award, Dylan left with her. And we actually got Dylan to do a shot with us, which was cool. When I was
Is that rare?
That is rare. That's very rare. And he wasn't going to, but we kind of made him because it was our celebratory shot. So he did that, and the next day he told me, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that shot," but that's okay. And I don't remember which band was playing. Dylan, I remember you told me. I went across the front of the stage to get back to where we were standing, and there was
Drive or something.
Let me look.
There was 6 or 7 feet between the band and the people. I'm like, why the fuck is everybody standing back so loud? I walked in front of them. Holy fuck, was that loud? I thought I felt my
Yeah, it was
freaking
University Drive. You're
University Drive was the band.
Yeah.
They were good, but holy
Good
fuck, were
memory.
they loud? My brain was just rattling around in my head. But holy fuck, was that loud? That has nothing to do with anything. Anyway, but thank you guys out there. We really appreciate it. And before we get into our topic real quick, these guys just kind of listened to it a little bit. Stephen, I'm sure you have heard or at least read the transcript from the Paul Stanley interview with Rolling Stone.
I actually have not gotten that yet.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I meant to. I texted these guys today, but I figured you would have. But I didn't realize you're were busy as you are. The kind of gist of it was that I was like, "What the fuck is he talking Rolling Stone for?" Because they ripped fucking Kiss from day one, number one. But it was the end of the road is just going to be this. Sounds like it's going to be the same old shit. It sounds like there's going to be the same set list, maybe hopefully a different stage, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be that.
No big to do like you would think it would be. Nothing for the fans. It's just going to be an easy retirement for them, and they're going to play the ground ball hits that they've been playing for the last 8 years. And
8.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
18.
He's talking about, oh well, it's not about one specific lineup of Kiss, or it's about Kiss the band, and we're really more focused on the show aspect of it. And he's talking about how the songs aren't hits for a reason, and the same old bullshit
shit
that he's been spewing, and he just doesn't come off well in this interview. I don't think. because he was asked about the Gene talking about him on the in the Australian shows that he did with Ace, and he's like, oh yeah, me and Gene rib each other. He's doing these shows. Most of them are free shows. Because when he charges tickets, he doesn't really sell a lot of them. And I'm like, wow, that's really petty. What the hell, man?
Well, those two guys have been ripping at each other lately anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
I heard somebody make the comment. I'm actually starting to sort of see that point and agree with it, which is maybe the reunion tour really should have been the farewell tour. That maybe really should have been the farewell tour. Maybe they go off and do their own thing like they've been doing lately anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I'll definitely go to it, I'm going on the Kiss Cruise anyway, so hopefully I can get my deep track fix on the Kiss Cruise this year.
I don't think you are.
I'm sure we'll get a couple. We get a couple.
Kind of sucks about Bob bailing out of that.
Yeah, I know. I heard a couple little things that a couple people told me that I told them I wouldn't say what had happened and stuff. But it's unfortunate because when Bruce and Bob played last year, it was kick ass. It was.
That was the highlight of last year.
It was the best part of the cruise last year. I don't give a shit what anybody says. That was the best part of the Kiss Cruise last year. In my opinion, anyways. To see them do those songs from side 4 of Alive 2 and the deeper tracks like Turn On the Night and the 80s stuff that they did, and I was hoping, and apparently they were going to do even deeper tracks than that in different songs this year. So I don't know what happened there. Like I said, I heard a couple things, but nothing concrete, and we still got Bruce, so
yeah.
It'll be cool. So.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be good. So
no, it doesn't sound like there's gonna be any new music from Kiss either, though.
No.
He did talk about
they're
that.
pretty set on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, come out with an EP or a song. I really hope they have some kind of release when they do all this, whether it be
like a live album.
Not even that, even unreleased tracks or demos or just something like when they did the reunion tour, they put out the "You Wanted the Best Thing" where they had the in quotations the live songs like "Take Me" and "Let Me Know" and that stuff that were they were re-recorded in the studio, but it was still kind of cool and there was something different that they put out. I hope they do something like that.
Well, they did that for the 40th anniversary with they put some new one new thing on that box set.
Yeah, that box set.
I can see them do one new song, and that's just it for the.
I want to say the reason Gene put out the Vault was because they're not going to do that. I could see that being the reason.
I don't think it hurt. I'm glad I got it because I got an assload of Kiss music. It was all it's all Gene stuff, and in the Vault, having the Vault. You can only listen to so much at a time because it's all Gene. At least when you have a Kiss album, you have a Gene song, a Paul song, maybe an Ace song or a song that Peter sings that someone else wrote. But you with the Vault, you don't have that. It's all Gene all the time, and you kind of have to take it in doses. So
or you get overdosed with Gene.
Right? Yeah. Just one more quick thing. Did you see BB? Are you going to be happy now? Vinny's going to do both of his shows electric.
Oh boy. Maybe he's been practicing so hard now he's not going to need the acoustic. He's going to go right to the 6-string, plug it in, and blow the roof off that Nashville place. Memphis.
Yeah. Steven, are you going? Are you not going to that? Are you?
Hell's no.
Come on.
Fuck that guy. Sorry, can I say that?
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm of that mind too. I just I'm not a fan of what he did with. We all know the story for the expo. I'm not a fan over that shit, but it'll be interesting to see how it comes out.
If it does.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a wait and see kind of thing.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see. I hope he's going to have a band.
No, it's just going to be him.
Not just. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know.
It's him. I heard it's him and the drum machine. I heard he's doing a new Ed Sheeran thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it because he said in the interview with the Decibel guys that he prefers a drum machine to an actual drummer.
Yeah.
So he may. Maybe he'll do something where he records the bass and has a drum machine and just plays along with it. It'll be interesting if it takes place. All right.
Can I just...
Sure.
Ace Frehley posted a picture with Foo Fighters guitarist Chris Shiflett the other day with the new Spaceman album. So I'm wondering if we're going to have a little Foo Fighters alum on Space's new album. Space Ace's new album. Just wanted to throw that out there because I love the Foo Fighters and Chris Shiflett is awesome.
Dylan, you love the Foo Fighters? Really? I
know. I don't talk about them often, but...
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Steve always throws a not in format.
They're out in format.
Well, Ace is all over the place because for $6,000 he could be your best man in your wedding.
Yeah. How about that? Jeez.
I got him cleaning my toilets right now.
He'll be your maid for $7,000.
Hey, sing a little Back of the New York Groove. I can't.
I can't,
Curly.
But I will go to the store and get you a quart of milk. All right.
I don't do bumpers.
Oh God, you gotta love it. It'll be interesting to see if Peter does anything too with the Kiss thing. We'll talk more about that as it goes along. I guess they're supposed to come out with pre-dates or something like that, pre-sale dates or something coming up soon.
They'll be talking to us. Yeah.
Us.
All right. The reason we're here tonight, besides to bust each other's balls, which is a good thing in itself, we're going to talk about a little Judas Priest this evening. We haven't really done a Judas Priest episode since we've been going. We've been doing this for over a year, and I can't believe we haven't done a Judas Priest episode yet.
It's been a long time coming, but this is a band that I think we all love unabashedly. They've had some low points in their career, but they've had so many more high points, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Some of their best albums.
Yeah, definitely. They've been around for so long. It's surprising that we didn't have them on here before, but what an iconic band that these guys are. Still to this day, just releasing an album, still touring. Yep. You got to give them credit for that.
Let me just say real quick. So first of all, just rewinding for a tad bit, I voted for you guys in the awards that you guys won, and I'm proud of you. Congratulations. Let me get that out of the way.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate your support, and we love having you on the show.
Absolutely. And so back to the topic at hand, this is a huge honor for me. I'm so happy that we're able to coordinate this and schedule this because you guys have no idea. Priest is absolutely probably in my top 5 all-time favorite bands. And that's a lot for me because it's tough to get me to pin down a band. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
So that's a tough feat for me, but I was able to do that, and I'm happy to be here and talk about the beast that is the Priest.
The beast that is the Priest. And it's funny, too, because now, after thinking about that, it seems like we have you for the metal things, and we do Sonny for the melodic things.
Or pansy things.
Oh, you didn't let me down. I was waiting for the comment. You did not let me down.
and all of us recently saw Priest on this last tour, right?
Yeah.
We did. Steven, you saw Priest this tour, right?
I just saw Priest about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember seeing the pictures you posted. What a set list. They changed it up like from the first leg of the Firepower tour. I was really happy with it.
You guys got the full show. You saw them twice on this tour, right?
Yeah.
You got the full show, and then you got the Deep Purple co-headline, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So I only got the Deep Purple co-headline. So there was some stuff absent from the set list that I would have loved to have seen, but I have to say for a co-headlining tour and 12 to 15 songs, I was pretty damn happy.
Yeah, they did a good job, and the first time we saw them, we got Saxon and the Black Star Riders also, even though the sound was ass. But
Saxon had to cut their set short.
Yeah, Saxon had to cut their set short. It was cool, and it was. I was surprised we were able to see them again, and it was great because now we got to see pretty much most of the songs that they've done on this tour, and they dropped some and added some. So I mean, we had a good mix, and we probably seen them do at least half of the new album between the two shows. Almost a good mix of them.
Yeah.
But what we decided to do for this episode is each one of us picked an album. BC was supposed to participate in this one, but his assignment got extended. So we're going to talk about the album briefly that he picked. And what we're going to do is each of us picked an album, a favorite Priest album, and when we come to the guys whose ever turn it is, we'll talk about it when it was released, and we'll go around, do a quick discussion on it, and we're going to pick our favorite 3 songs from each album. And then when we get to BC picked Redeemer of Souls. I'll just get that out there now. So we're going to pick 2 songs from that album, and then we're going to do a wild card favorite Priest song from any other album besides what we talked about tonight.
Charlie Day wild card, bitches.
There you go. Yeah. So let's see. Who wants to go first?
Not it.
Not it.
I don't care. I mean...
All right, Dylan, you go first, buddy.
Okay, so I've always been a huge fan of Judas Priest. Growing up on Rock 107, you'd always hear, like, Breaking the Law and, You've Got Another Thing Coming, Electric Eye. And then I would hear the deeper tracks at home when my dad's blasting them whatever. My first real memory of a Priest album is the Steelworks double, greatest hits album. I don't know if you guys remember what that album is.
I do, because you were listening to mine.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like a really cool cover, and it just kind of grabbed me. Yeah, Metalworks is what it's called. Yeah, Metalworks. I was just blown away by that album, but that's not the album I picked because that's not a studio album. The album that I picked is probably, I'm going to say, my favorite Priest album. It came out in September of 1990, and if I knew that when we were doing our 90s albums, this would have been the album I picked. But
it is the album you picked.
No, for the 90s album, it was Hey Stupid is what I picked.
Oh, that's right.
No, this is Painkiller. An amazing album produced by Chris Stangardries? Tangerides, is that actually how you pronounce it?
Yes, it is. I never knew how that was until the Anvil movie when they went to him to produce their album.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Chris Tangerides produced it. I think from front to back, this is an amazing album. I mean, it starts off with the amazing drum blast from Scott Travis on Painkiller. And this is his first album with Priest as the drummer, and last album for Rob Halford before Ripper Owens came in to replace him for 2 albums. This is a really good album to go out on if this was his last album, but thankfully we have the Metal God back. Really, there's not a song that I would be like, oh, this is a shitty Priest song. I mean, Battle Hymn is like a short, little interlude instrumental type thing, but the rest of the songs really hold up their end. Should I pick my 3 right now, or should we just
we'll go around that? We'll go around the table real quick.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it, and then we'll do our picks, and you can do your picks at the end.
Okay.
All right. Stephen, Painkiller. What do you think, my friend?
Painkiller was cool. I enjoyed most of it. I can't say it's definitely not my favorite top 3 records or 4 records, but I enjoyed some of the stuff off it for sure. What
would be your 3 picks from this album?
Well, by far, my favorite song off this record is probably Touch of Evil. That's my sweet spot for Priest. I don't, Painkiller's awesome. I do love that song, but Priest sort of started getting a little bit heavier at this point, to me. And that's not the Priest that I grew up with. The Priest I grew up with was British Steel, Screaming for Vengeance, Defenders of the Faith. That's my Priest, and I think they kind of became like a heavier band for the most part. So Touch of Evil is my favorite song on this record. I love the song Painkiller. That would definitely be in my top 3. And then songs like Leather Rebel and Nightcrawler, All Guns A-Blazing, Hell Patrol, those tunes are pretty cool too. So that's kind of where I sit with Painkiller.
All right, cool. Yeah, I enjoyed the album. I think it's kick-ass. I talked about it when we did another episode. I always like to look at the albums that came before the album that we're talking about, and the one that was before this was Ram It Down, which was just such an odd album. There's a lot of programmed drums on there, and there was a lot of weird stuff, and it sounded like there was just like a lot of programmed shit on there that I didn't really care for. There's some decent songs on there. The version of Johnny B. Good is absolutely fucking horrible. But I think that when Dave Holland left the band and they got Scott Travis. I think Painkiller was the perfect song to start that with. Priest is back. We're heavier than ever. And look at this fucking kick-ass drummer that we have. And it just, like, the first song just tears your head off. And the production on it is great. I think they really came out great, especially because, like I said, the album before was just absolutely... It's got some good stuff on it. Overall, it's kind of horrid because I think that's one of the few albums that they really don't play anything off of much. Like they've done Blood Red Sky, I think that they've done in the past. But I absolutely love Painkiller. And my songs on that one are definitely got to be Nightcrawler. I love that movie, that song. Because I said movie because I always think of that song as a movie. Like the part where he talks in the middle. See, the spoken word, way better than Dave Mustaine's version of it. And
there was a good movie called Nightcrawler starring Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, that was about a cameraman, though.
Yeah.
It wasn't about a creature.
No.
That and Between the Hammer and the Anvil, I think, is a fantastic song. I love the feel of that song. And I think that song has more of the old Priest-type sound to it. And that's what kind of attracted that to me. And All Guns Blazing I can go with, because that's another just kick-ass friggin' tear your head off song.
Yeah, when I first heard this album in 1990, you don't expect... When you hear Painkiller, when you I threw that CD in, and you heard Painkiller for the first time, you're like, holy shit, it's 1990, and you have just blown the speakers out with this amazing opening drum riff, which was phenomenal, and it's still, to this day, you hear that drum riff, you know exactly what it is. My 3 songs, definitely Painkiller, like I mentioned. Like Steve said, I picked Nightcrawler. I love the scary lyrics of it. I wrote it almost down like it's like a Halloween song, And then my third pick is Metal Meltdown. I wanted to get something obscure, and I didn't want to, pick the obvious. I love the opening riff on it. I think it's really, really cool, and the fast drums in it. It grips you. So they're my 3.
So for my picks on all the albums, I wanted to try and pick songs that would cohesively go together on an album, like that they would all sound like they would be on one album. So that's why I didn't pick Painkiller, though Painkiller is probably my second or third favorite Priest song of all time. It's too much of a bombast for the album that I'm going for.
Okay.
Like that's the one song that I know like every drum hit and riff But my favorite Priest song I will put on the list, Between the Hammer and the Anvil. First time I heard this song, I was blown away by just how atmospheric it starts off with, like the and then the drums kind of come in and you can hear the anvil hits on occasion, and it has a cool time change right before the solo, and then it goes right back into going fast again. It's a really amazing Priest song, and that's what I consider quintessential Priest. My other 2 songs are Touch of Evil. I love. It's almost like Metal Gods Part 2. It's got that kind of stomping action to it and a really cool feel to it. And I think Hell Patrol is my third one. A decent song. I love Rob Halford's vocals in the chorus with the Hell Patrol.
Yeah, and they've done that one live too.
Yeah.
They did that one on the when they did the British Steel tour. That was one of the songs that they went back to.
So those are my 3.
Yeah, great songs.
That's awesome. We almost pretty much...
but there's a couple songs on there that I could live without. But it's overall. I think it's like if you put that next to Ram It Down, it fucking ram it down right down the fucking toilet.
Yeah, Ram It Down's not strong Priest.
Yeah, I can't get past the programmed drums on that at all.
Cool album cover though.
Oh, absolutely. It's cool too. And Steven, did you get that on disc when that came out?
The Painkiller record?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Remember when it came out? It was like the razor blade, like the tire on the motorcycle was. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that. I probably bought it used. I bought a lot of shit used around that period of time.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was living on my own. I didn't have any money. What do you want from me?
New shit. Come on, goddammit. Yeah, very cool though.
Well, the other thing that I didn't mention when I was saying is that I kind of, to be honest, I sort of disengaged myself from Priest after Ram It Down. So the expectations from Painkiller wasn't all that high for me at that point, you know.
Right.
So that's just being real, being honest.
Yeah. When that came, Ram It Down came out in '88, and Painkiller came out in '90, and let me tell you, that was like a long 2 goddamn years in between those 2 albums, it seemed, and I didn't even know that was coming out until the week before the video premiere came out on Headbangers Ball. I remember them saying, stay tuned next week for a new Judas Priest video from their new album coming out. And I didn't know, you didn't have the internet back then, so you didn't know what the fuck was going on. And I went home and, I that night I set the tape up and I was watching. I was absolutely blown away by that song and the video. And the video for the song Painkiller is just absolutely amazing. And I just love the time changes in that, and that was like, hey, we're back, fuck everybody else, we're gonna kick your ass. And but I mean, great pick, a great album, and I kind of consider it a comeback album because you had Ram It Down, which kind of sucked, and you had Turbo before that, which I don't think sucks. I think it's good, but I think it's a album that kind of gets thrown under the bus a little bit. But they had a great tour for that. But recording-wise, I think that this was a giant step forward. I think.
Yeah. Especially at the time of the music time, 1990. You got your glam metal, hair metal, whatever you want to call it. That's almost starting to die. And this album comes out, and it's like, holy shit, this is amazing.
And it was around this time that they were dealing with the court battles, right? Because one of their fans.
Yeah, it was two fans
killed themselves.
One did, and the other one fucked it up, I guess, and the parents were suing, and they were acquitted for it. But I mean, cool pick. All right, let's go with BB next. What's your pick, BB?
I'm going new school. I'm going with Firepower from 2018.
Sounds like it could be from
1974.
It was 1974. It was a great album. Yeah, Firepower just released in March. It's amazing album. Once again, Judas Priest showing that they're not giving up anything. This album, front to back, is just bombastic guitars and drums, and Halford's vocals for being 65, 66, whatever he is just downright amazing. The producer was Tom Allum and Andy Sneap. So as Steve has been throwing Andy Sneap's name around here this podcast at least once a month, this really shows what a great producer he is, and it's just an amazing album for the music today. It brings you back to when Priest ruled the world, and I think they're close to regaining the belt again with this album.
All right, cool. Steve, what's your thoughts on little Firepower?
Yeah, so I'll be really seriously amazed if Firepower doesn't end up on pretty much all the podcasters that we know's top 10 list of the end of the year.
Yeah.
It'll be
totally
hard-pressed for me to believe that that's not going to happen. Firepower, fantastic record. I mean, I got zero bad to say about this record at all. I love it from front to back. There's a couple things. I love it from front to back. I mean, there's a couple things like Guardians, I can do without that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I love this record front to back. It's going to be real hard for me to give you my 3 top songs off this record, I'll be honest.
I understand that.
We'll give it a shot.
Well, I think Never the Heroes has to be in my top 3. I think that's an amazing song. I love it. No Surrender, really good song. Firepower, love it. I love Flamethrower because it's kind of got that old school feel. Literally sounds like it would be on British Steel to me. So, there's some shots that I gave at trying to come up with the top 3. I also like Evil Never Dies.
It's tough to pick. It really is.
Definitely.
All right, Dylan.
First time, I think, was Lightning Strike the first single released for this album? I think it was Lightning Strike, wasn't it?
Either that or Firepower. They both put them out early.
Yeah. Well,
Lightning Strike and Firepower, they both released. One was in January, one was in February.
Okay, Lightning Strike was first, though?
Lightning Strike was first.
Okay. I remember hearing that on, it was probably like Ozzy's Boneyard. And like I was like, oh, this is a really cool song. And then like the cool riff before the solo, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be a good Priest album. And then Firepower came out, and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be an amazing Priest album. And then, lo and behold, it was one of Priest's best albums, I think, in my opinion. This album, front to back, is just phenomenal. It sounds great. Andy Sneap did a really good job with mixing and producing. I think that Rob Halford's voice has just transcended what I thought he could do nowadays, because you listen to like Redeemer of Souls, he doesn't really reach as high as usual, but then he's right back here with Firepower hitting these high notes. I again also struggled trying to pick a top three for this one, because I love every song on it, but I have to go with The Spectre. First time I heard that song, I was immediately blown away. It's my kind of theatrical song. It has the cool part in the middle that's like
a thief.
Yes, it's like the talking part that he does.
More good Priest talking.
And like the solo in it is really cool, and it's a really moody, awesome song that almost is like a cousin to The Ripper in a little bit of a way. Trader's Gate, I love how just like blistering and heavy that is. It's just like a real punch in the face. And then Necromancer, I'm gonna have to say, is my third pick. Those three songs really jumped out to me, but again, this whole album jumped out to me in a way that I didn't think Priest could do anymore.
Yeah, Firepower. Here you go, BC. Firepower. Just a fantastic album, and once again, I will go back to the album before we're going to talk about that album a little bit in a minute. But Redeemer of Souls. But two guys here. You have Tom Allom, who is a classic Priest producer. Produce Screaming for Vengeance, and together with Andy Sneap, you guys are probably sick of hearing me saying the guy's name, but absolutely amazing metal producer. If Kiss would ever do anything, I would be amazed to see what he could do with them, but I don't think that'll ever happen. But absolutely amazing album, and like Steven said, it's tough to pick. It's tough to pick Priest songs from this particular album, but I will try to. I definitely got to go with Evil Never Dies. I love that. It's got such a freaking scorching solo in that song. It's absolutely amazing. Definitely that. Trader's Gate, I love if you listen to the chorus, da-da-da-da, da-da-da, and at the end it's like losing my head, and it's like it progresses as you go along to when he's going to get his head chopped off, to when he's there and watching the crowd, and then to when it actually happens. And it's just the music in it is fantastic. I'm going to say probably Children of the Sun. I absolutely love that song. That song harkens me back to the old Priest stuff. I think that's a song that you could hear on like Screaming for Vengeance or maybe Defenders of the Faith. I think that song would fit perfect in with them. And it's got that, the part, you're the reason I feel dead. And when it goes into the solo there, it is just so like such a priest moment on that album. And Steven, you are 1,000% correct. I don't think it's not going to be on anybody's top 10 or top 5 albums of the year for 2018.
You don't think it's going to be on anybody's?
Huh? No, I don't think it's not going to be. It's going to be on everyone's list. But just absolutely phenomenal album. Love it. All right, BB, we probably picked all your songs, but
yeah, pretty much. But like everybody else said, it's a great album. I'm gonna start with Guardians. It's a it's a great instrumental. No.
Guardians, A Sea of Red.
How can you not put Firepower on it? Just a great opening song. You know, you waited 4 years after Redeemer, which I wasn't that big of a fan, but when you threw this in and the first song you hear after that album, just a great opening song to let you know how kick-ass this whole album is going to be. And Dylan actually picked my 2, Spectra. I love the talking of the like a thief in the night. And then Trader's Gates. I love how it's just a slow start acoustically, and then it just kicks in the middle with the great guitar riff. It's just like a great Priest song that in my book. It just.
What was that last one?
Trader's Gate?
Trader's Gate.
Trader's Gate. I'm sorry. Oh, I was looking up
So you're
BC's
saying
list.
it was a great song.
My bad.
Did BC send his 3 songs for everything?
He did. I have BC's list.
Are you gonna wait till the end to say them?
No, I said his ones for the last one. Didn't I?
Did I?
No. Did I say
I
them?
think
His
you
ones?
did for Painkiller.
No.
Oh, I did. I'll wait till the end.
Yep. So there's my 3.
Those are good ones. Seeing as you picked 2 of my
Yeah. We're on the same page.
We're on the
Yeah,
same
no,
wavelength,
but I
yeah.
mean, and this is one that there's, I mean, it's Judas Priest. There's no wrong answer for any of them, and you could throw all those songs in a hat and pick them out and not pick out a bad one. Leave Guardians out because that doesn't really count. But
Well, I see Guardians as like part of Rising from Ruin. Like I just see it's like the
a
Hellion
little
Electric
prelude.
guy.
Yeah.
So
No, it's not that good though.
I'm not saying it's that good. I'm saying in terms of grouping them together. Like you consider that one song, I consider that one song.
All right.
It's actually my favorite song now because y'all been talking about it. I love that song.
I want to hear that as your theme song on the next Growin Up Rock podcast.
It's totally going to be on there.
Start
It's
out
going to be the
start out with
intro.
Guardians. Every time you
That's
talk, I
cool.
want to hear that under your voice.
All right, cool. That's actually what should play in your damn award
My award thing?
receiving speech that you gave earlier.
I was
in this
thinking
podcast.
maybe like Endless Love.
I'd have to loop it 12 times. I'd have to actually loop it like 20 times.
Constant loop for about 15 minutes.
Boy.
All right. I'm still not revoking my thank you to you, no matter how much you bust my ass.
We got time. Let's get to the end.
I
of
just
this.
say, yeah,
I'll make
we
sure
got a little
that
ways to
happens.
go here yet. Let's talk about BC's album since he's not here, and we'll give him a shout out. He was, like I said, he planned on participating in this one, but we ended up recording on a night when he's not available, and he picked Redeemer of Souls, and
And I believe you tried to convince him not to.
I did. I tried to talk him out of it.
I don't know why he did, because it sucks.
I tried to talk him out of it, so I'll start with his. There's some good shit on there. There really is, but
It really is.
the production is terrible on it. The production is absolutely fucking terrible on it. I can only imagine what Andy Sneap would have done with this album.
Why don't you bury Andy Stevens?
We got to get him on the podcast.
Hey, when they got done at the first show and he'd come over for thank you at the end of the show, I'm like, please produce Kiss. And
He started laughing.
Pointing at me, laughing at me. So, but there are some legit good songs on this album, especially after coming off of Nostradamus. I thought he was going to pick that just to fuck with us, which would have been a big slog to get through.
That's going to be on one of our worst of the
One
best.
of our worst of the best, maybe.
We'll do that. We'll do Lulu.
It starts out with Dragonaut, which I personally think they should have named the album that. I think Redeemer of Souls is a horrible name for an album.
I don't know if
Why?
it's horrible.
Because I don't know. I think it gives you a religious
But
thing.
Dragonaut,
Whatever.
like, there's a lot of like puns. Like this album drags a lot. Like so that's why they did it.
Only you would think of something like that, Dylan.
No, that a lot of people would have thought of that because that's
No.
pretty.
No.
The album
groundball
cover
first.
is cool.
The album cover is cool. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
But
I didn't think this record was that bad. Actually, I enjoyed a lot of this record, especially
I do
not hearing so much from them for so long. And like you said, the last album being Nostradamus, which I actually thought blew.
yeah, I think there's maybe 3 or 4 good songs on Nostradamus. I think that are listenable. But I mean, it is a great album. I mean, they're back to just like playing, not doing a show. I think Nostradamus is Judas Priest's elder.
Well, it's an easy comparison to make.
That's probably fair.
But I mean, there's some great shit on Redeemer Soul, Dragonaut, Halls of Valhalla, and actually, because I did picks for that too, and my picks for Redeemer will be Halls of Valhalla, Dragonaut, my 2 picks for that. But I mean, it's a good album. Even songs like Cold Blooded that are kind of slow in the beginning, it really kicks it up in the middle. I think it's a good album. And
I thought you were supposed to pick 3 songs.
I was doing what you did. I picked mine, but I can pick these ones too.
You picked 2, now pick 1 more.
Well, we're only going to pick 2 from this one, and then a wild card, which we'll do later.
There's Steve Wright that I know and love, making the rules up as he goes along.
I'm telling you, that's what the
you,
rules
buddy.
all
Pick
along.
1 more.
That's what we were gonna do.
See?
What? Pick 2 or pick 3?
I'll pick 3. I'll go with my 3rd song will be Cold Blooded. There you go.
All right, there.
All right.
Fair.
All right, how about you? Give us yours.
I like the song Redeemer of Souls. I like Dragonaut. I like Halls of Valhalla, but March of Damned is probably in my top 3. So Redeemer of Souls, Halls of Valhalla, March of the Damned.
I have somewhat as Steven has. I have March of the Damned. I think it's a really catchy tune. It just seems like Rob's voice is a little bit different. It doesn't seem like it's Halford, but it's catchy. It works. My other pick, Down in Flames. I love the opening riff. It's a really, really cool song. And probably I would, if I'm going to add a 3rd, I would definitely add Halls of Valhalla. I'm almost right on Stephen Michael's shirt tail here as I copy his, but that's what we like.
I don't have shirt tails. I'm totally nude right now.
No more writing Steven's non-existent shirt tails, BB.
All right, cool.
Dylan, your songs, buddy.
I actually picked some completely different songs for everybody for the most part. I went Crossfire. That's a song that really grabbed me. I also picked Snakebite, which I also really enjoyed. And my other one was Dragonaut. So that last one, is keeping in with everybody. But Crossfire and Snakebite were 2 that...
Where's Snakebite?
That's what I'm going to say.
Although Snakebite's on the EP that came with it, so that doesn't really count, Dylan.
Well, listen, what?
It is. There's a 5-song EP that came with it, and Snakebite's on there.
Well, listen,
I was going to say, that song's not all
I was on Apple Music, and that's considered part of the album on Apple Music. So
Well, it's not. The beginning of the end is the last song on the album. So
Yeah.
pick again.
I can't.
So you
pick
got 18
Snakebite?
songs? What the?
No, well, Steven's not familiar with it. I am. BB, you're not either.
I don't think I am.
It's good, isn't it?
It is good.
It is good.
All right.
If
Well,
I
you
have
go
to
with
pick another
Snake.
one,
All right.
No, go with Snakebite. No, take your Snakebite.
Where's Girth?
I'm just-
Girth loves a good snake bite.
That's what's listed on iTunes as the album.
Yeah, that's actually, there's a 5-song EP. The songs are Snakebite, Tears of Blood, Creatures, Bring It On, and Never Forget. Creatures is a terrible song. It's horrible.
Oh, it is. I had the deluxe version.
There you go.
Oh,
Okay,
see?
that's all right though.
We'll let it
My
slide.
bad. My bad.
Yeah, it's from the deluxe edition.
We're not deluxe
It's
like
actually
you.
pretty cool though. It's not bad. It's not bad.
I was gonna have live versions of everything.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll give you BC's picks for this one. BC's picks for Redeemer of Souls are Hell and Back, March of the Damned, and Crossfire.
Crossfire.
And Crossfire is a kind of a different sounding song for Priest.
Which is the way I like it.
Yeah, it kicks in like
It works.
it kicks in very priest-like, but at the beginning is very. The beginning kind of reminds me of I can't think of one of the. It's a Halford song that's on the Made in Metal album. There's a song that is kind of like that begins like that. I can't think of the name of it, but it's very Halford band like.
Does anybody remember it's like a board game, Crossfire, with like the marbles.
You used to shoot the marbles.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Crossfire!
Yeah.
You get caught up in it.
So that's cool. So we got 3 down. We got 2 more to go. All right. Well, we're gonna do our hidden gems, and we're gonna start with BB.
All right.
Since you didn't have one last time.
That's right. Poor communication. I blame Dylan.
Wow.
My hidden gem is, of course, Rob Halford, Infused. He had a band called Two, and the band also had Johnny Fives before he went by Johnny Fives. His real name is John Lowerly. They released an album back in 2007. The album was called Voyeurs.
Pretty familiar with it.
Yeah. And it was produced by Trent Reznor
Oh wow.
of
Nails.
Nine Inch Nails. So
He wants to fuck you like an animal.
it has that 9 Inch Nails / Tool tone to it.
It's very industrial album.
One of the cool songs I listened to today is "I Am a Pig."
Yeah,
So,
that was the.
It does
they
sound
have a
like
video
a
for that.
Trent Reznor involved song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it before. Ooh, excuse me. I've heard it before. It's not bad. It's different.
It's different, definitely.
Have you
different.
heard it, Steven? I'm sure you probably have.
Yeah, I have.
I'm not a massive fan of it. It's okay.
I'll have to listen to it because I like Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, it's 9 Inch Nails ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind.
It's Nine Inch
It's
Nails,
before he did
Tool.
Fight.
So this
it's
is Angry Halford phase. I'm out
Yeah,
of the band
Get me
and
the
I'm
fuck
mad
out
as
of
hell.
Priest, then fuck y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Fight better.
Yeah, oh,
Is
absolutely,
that on,
absolutely.
Is that on iTunes?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Check it out. All right, Steven, what do you got for us?
All right, so this is definitely going deep. I'll be real surprised if anybody on this call has heard this one,
Guns N'
but
Roses.
this plays into tonight's episode, and I'll tell you more about it a little bit later. But I am going to go with a band that's called Heaven, and they're an Australian band that was out in the mid '80s, and they had an album out called Bent, and it's B-E-N-T, and they're kind of a cross between, they're just kind of straight ahead hard rock. I mean, there are elements of AC/DC, of course. If you're from Australia, you have to have elements
absolutely,
of AC/DC. But, just kind of leather-clad, ugly dudes that are playing killer rock and roll. And this album, Bent, came out in the mid-'80s, and one of the tunes that was kind of cool is the song they had called In the Beginning, and in the beginning they kind of call out all these classic rock bands, kind of a sort of a tribute song to all these classic rock bands, and that song stuck with me for a while, but the whole record really is a pretty decent record.
Right, kind of like Let There Be Rock, right? In the beginning, back in 1955. So.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. That's exactly right.
Cool. We'll definitely have to check those guys out. I don't know why it seems like I may have heard of them, but not heard them. Now that you say that, because and a lot of those bands do have AC/DC, massive AC/DC influence. Like look at Airborne. Bands like that. They're just like crazy and But great, we'll definitely have to check them out. Heaven, the album is Bent, and the song's In the Beginning. Cool. Dylan.
My hidden gem is going to be a band from Northern Ireland. Not Thin Lizzy, but The Answer. I first came onto these guys in 2009. The magazine Classic Rock was really pushing them because they're a UK magazine and a pretty good UK, hard rock, kind of bluesy rock band. Came out with a new album, Everyday Demons. And that'll be the album that I'm putting down for them for the hidden gem. Really cool, just awesome sounding band. On and On is probably the track I picked from that. But Demonize is really good. Why'd You Change Your Mind? Pride. It's a cool band. It's just a good old hard rock group from Ireland that I really enjoyed back in the day when I was forming my own opinions about music and branching out trying to find bands that I liked. And this is one of the ones that popped up onto my radar. So The Answer with their album Everyday Demons.
Oh, cool. Good pick. And, Steven, BB was just looking up Heaven from Australia, and it looks like Rowan Robertson was one of the guitar players. Another Dio alumni. Probably not for that album, though. Maybe later?
No, it couldn't have been. This band was way earlier than Rowan Robertson. He was too young. He may have played guitar like in a later version of them or something.
Because it has him in the personnel listing on it, though. I don't know if it has him on any albums or not.
Yeah, that's probably
definitely
Wiki.
check them out.
Yeah, look at all the numbers.
Wiki doesn't know what
Oh,
the
yeah.
fuck they're talking about.
No, well, their member list, there's about 30 guys on there.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't pop up on his discography on Wikipedia.
He's on the
I mean-
current list. If there's a
I mean, for
current,
God's sakes, I
okay.
could go in and edit my name. I actually played lead guitar on 3 of their albums.
Did you? I
Probably
can't wait to
not.
hear it. We don't see your name in the list. Must be under a pseudonym. But cool, definitely cool. Let's see, BC, what's your hidden gem? Oh, he's not here. I'm sorry.
Well, have you ever heard my hidden gem? No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I've heard of the band, Dylan. Yes, I have heard of The Answer. I've never heard them, but
Okay.
I have heard the name though. We will definitely have to check. Have you ever heard of them, Steve, or no?
Yeah, I actually, you know where I heard the answer is several years back. You know how Apple iTunes, they always used to give you a free song?
Right.
Oh yeah.
The answer had a song called Demon Eyes, and
Yeah.
I downloaded it because I dug it so much.
Oh, okay. Cool. Definitely.
So, yeah,
That's the lead off track off Everyday Demons.
there you go. It's a great song.
Sounds like a Priest song.
Yeah, they're
I
not
think-
quite priests. They're
Aren't they sort of Christian?
I think maybe nowadays they might be, but
nope, out of format.
To the
it might have been
British
subliminal.
striker.
It was a young Dylan listening to this, so it might have went right over my head.
You know, because a band called The Answer, that
Yeah.
could definitely be
Yeah.
conceived as considered a Christian name, right?
Oh,
It could
definitely.
be, yeah.
Definitely. Dylan's going to look that up. My hidden gem is going to be in the Judas Priest vein today also. It's going to be an album by Tim Ripper Owens called Play My Game. Cool album. I mean, his vocals, and we could talk real quick about the 2 albums that Ripper Owens was on. He was on Jugulator. Came out in 1997, and Demolition that came out in 2001. There's some good stuff on there. I don't think that. I think Ripper kind of had a. Apparently the movie was Rockstar was loosely, based on his experience being in a tribute band, and the band, the singer quit, brought in a guy from a tribute band. So I guess it's loosely made on that. And apparently, if you watch the movie Rockstar, the Mark Wahlberg character comes in when they're going to record the new album, and he says, "Hey, I got these new songs," and then Dominic West and Jason Bonham pull him aside and say, "Listen, you know what? It's all nice that you brought in your own shit, but me and AC, we write the songs for Steel Dragon," and and apparently that was sort of the case. Like, Ripper Owens will not definitively say yes, this is what happened, but he doesn't say no, it has not happened. So I wonder what some of those Priest songs could have been when if Ripper had been allowed to be involved in the writing of those albums. So but Steven, what do you think about the Ripper Owens Priest stuff?
You know what? To be honest, I'm really not 100% familiar with it. I mean, I have Jugulator, but it's not something I listen to constantly, and I don't know anything about his solo shit.
Yeah, the solo album's pretty good. I'm not really. I've heard it a couple times. I figured I would throw it out there just as a tie-in to the Priest episode. But I absolutely love the 2 live albums that came out, which is weird because Ripper was only in Priest for 2 albums, but they have 2 live albums that came out when he was in the band. They have the Metal Meltdown live one, and then there's
Live in London.
And Live in London. And I think one of the episodes BC and I talked about, they on the Live in London one, they have bonus material on the DVD where it shows them, they film sound check. And the versions they do of the songs on there are just like absolutely mind-blowing. They play it in the Brixton Hall that they record the show in, and there's no one in the audience, and you could just hear, like, I listened to it actually last night for the first time. I watched the video on my iPad with the headphones on, and the sound was just so amazing hearing them play in that empty hall. It was just blew my freaking mind. But I think that Ripper did a great job in Priest when Rob Halford was gone. Are you familiar with any stuff,
Yeah,
BB?
yeah. I really like Jugulator. I think it's a really good album, and he really brings a different vibe to the band. And Demolition, I'm not as fond of. I don't know what it is, but Jugulator is really a great album. His vocals is just it's head to head with Halford. He's a really great fit for the band.
I'm not as familiar with the Ripper era of Priest. I haven't really given the albums too good of a listen. I would like the cover of Jugulator better if they zoomed out of the face.
There is a version, an earlier version of that you get the whole thing.
Yeah. But like the one I'm remembering is like it's really close up and it kind of almost looks pixelated.
It does. It looks really blurry, but there is a version of it further back. And they're two really heavy ass albums. Songs like Dead Meat and Death Row, Burn in Hell, Jugulator, like Bloodstained is like holy shit, is like just crazy. Demolition I don't think is as good as Jugulator, but like and the Demolition album cover is just fucking stupid looking. But I just wanted to throw a little Ripper Owen stuff out there. It's called Play My Game.
It's got a lot of good people in it. Chris Caffrey's in it, I think. Doug Aldrich, Rudy Starzo, Steve Stevens, Billy Sheehan, Jeff Loomis. So some pretty good repertoire of players to play his game, if you will.
Play his game, and he's done a bunch of stuff. He's sung on some Iced Earth albums. He has an album out with Yngwie. Actually, he's on 3 albums with Yngwie: Perpetual Flame, High Impact, and Relentless. The Yngwie stuff is like out of control now. It's just like total like shredding, and Yngwie is singing. Oh, I don't want to get into that now.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but that's a whole. We'll throw the brakes on that one. Maybe we'll do an Yngwie episode and how maybe we'll line up all the singers that he had with him and see how they love him.
Something suddenly came up.
Yeah. All right. So check out our hidden gems. We have. Play the Game, the Ripper Owens album from me, the Halford 2 album from BB, The Answer, Everyday Demons from Dylan, and the band Heaven from Steven. The album is Bent, and the song to check out is In the Beginning. So you guys check out them gems. We do them for a reason. They're cool stuff that we like, and we think maybe you guys will like or check them out. So definitely check them out. And let's get back into the albums.
I was doing the symbol though. Let's get back into
it. Steven, I think we're going to save yours for last.
You sure?
If you don't mind. Or unless you want rather go now.
No, I'm fine anyway.
Okay. I'll go next. And I don't mean to be rude to have our special guest star today go last, but I'm doing that for a reason. My album pick was Defenders of the Faith, Priest. And absolutely love that album. I think it is, and like I said before, I always look at the album before that, and I think it's a great progression from Screaming for Vengeance. And there is the first 4 songs on that album are just absolutely freaking amazing. They just start out crazy. I can't really name too many albums out there that have a better starting 4 songs out there than Defenders of the Faith. If you start out with Free Will Burning, Jawbreaker, Rock Hard Ride Free, maybe a little weak there, but then the Sentinel. Absolutely, the Sentinel is far and away my favorite Priest song of all times. Absolutely love it. And I remember when this album came out. My first Priest album that I had was Unleashed in the East, and then I got that right before Screaming for Vengeance came out, so I got that next, and then I ended up going back and the other ones. Defenders of the Faith is really the album. I remember when Screaming for Vengeance came out and I had it, but Defenders of the Faith totally solidified my love for Priest forever. I just absolutely love that album, and it's been a huge influence on a lot of music that I listen to, and put that together with Screaming for Vengeance and British Steel, and it's just an absolutely amazing album, and I absolutely love it. Dylan.
So, for some reason, and I don't know why this is, I'd never listened to this album front to back. I'd heard basically every song, piecemeal, bits and pieces. We actually saw Free Will Burning and Some Heads Are Gonna Roll in this last pre-show because they added those to the set list.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, this album I think is in my top 3 Priest albums after listening to it front to back. There is not really a bad. I mean, Defenders of the Faith is like an outro song, but like for the most part, these are kick-ass songs. Like you said, the first 4 songs are really awesome. I even think Love Bites is a decent song right after those. But like Eat Me Alive, Some Heads Are Gonna Roll, like oh my god, so good. But the 3 that I have to pick for this album, I have to go Jawbreaker. That's always been one of my favorite Priest songs. I love in the end that he changes up the height he sings the chorus or the title song, like the title of the song, like where he just goes higher with it, and it sounds so awesome. And the guitar work in it is really good. Some Heads Are Gonna Roll. I think it's such a nice mid-tempo Priest song that like is really cool to sing along to. And I love towards the end again when he's doing the oh no.
Yeah.
Like it's Rob
the guitar
Halford
goes along with it.
Yeah, Rob Halford like does some really cool things on this album that like add some character to the songs. And then the 3rd song I have to go with is Eat Me Alive. A nice. You don't think it's gonna be like the chorus is kind of a heavy chorus, but you don't really think it's going that way. In the verses, it's a little lighter, but then like the chorus kind of dinges it up a bit, and you're like, oh, this is a cool little darkness. But it's a really awesome album, and I'm glad I got to listen to it fully for this episode.
All right, cool. Steven, what do you got first on Defenders?
Defenders of the Faith I consider in my top trilogy of Priest records. Love it. Definitely my top 3 songs on this record: Free Will Burning, The Sentinel, and Some Heads Are Gonna Roll. Those are my tunes, but front to back, love this record.
BB.
You hate it, don't you?
No, I thought it's really, really good. It's funny, I'm looking over my notes and I'm looking at the...
You look to the left and you look to the right?
the track listing on this, I'm like, I pulled a Dylan because one of my songs is on a 2001 CD edition bonus track, of course. But...
What'd you pick? Turn On Your Light?
I love it. I love the acoustic, and you can hear the acoustic part. You can hear like the plucking of the pick.
I'm assuming you don't like that song, Dad.
Yeah, nice. It's just but
I'll wait my turn.
It's a slower Judas Priest song, but it builds up towards the ends and it closes out with a fantastic guitar riff. Some Heads Are Gonna Roll. That's one of the iconic. Sometimes you have to pick the hits.
Yeah.
That's an iconic one. I love that song. And the Sentinel, like Steve said, it's just a iconic. It just gives you that heavy Judas Priest punch in the throat. It's just an amazing song. It's probably the best song on the album in my opinion.
You need the punch in the throat after you hear "Turn On the Light" on your light. But that was actually recorded during the Turbo sessions, so they were headed in a different direction at that time. So, I cannot say enough about this album. I absolutely love it. My picks are The Sentinel, obviously my all-time favorite Priest song, Jawbreaker, and I love Bites. I think that is such a cool...
Well, then why don't you say 1 through 5 is good?
Well, 1 through 5 is good. But I'm just saying...
4.
But like... And there's no really break in that album until Night Comes Down, the 8th song that is still good, but it's just a little less below the other ones. But Love Bites, I remember the video for that. And I just, because that's the video where you see the stage, the full Metallian stage, where they come down like on the pause, I guess you would call them, and the front opens up. And just an amazing album. And this is an album this would be probably a desert island album for me. I absolutely love it, and I'm glad that we did this episode just so Dylan can listen to it all the way through. Yeah. And that it's in his top thing. And
hey, the album has one of the 2 Bob Halligan Jr. songs that he wrote for the band. Some Heads Are Gonna Roll.
True. Mm-hmm. And he wrote one on another album that we're going to talk about very soon.
I'm surprised that he wrote most of Blow My Fuse. Looking at his...
Yeah.
Or most of Midnight Dynamite. And
Midnight Dynamite.
A lot of Blow My Fuse. Or some...
So, Defenders of the Faith, just a fantastic album. I think Priest was really super on a roll when this album came out. They just came off the Screaming for Vengeance thing, and a lot of times when you get a rip-roaring album like Screaming for Vengeance was, like the next album you're like, it's good, but it's not as good. I think this album stands up very good with Screaming for Vengeance, and I'm going to say Steven's top 3 are probably going to be British Steel, Defenders of the Faith, and Screaming for Vengeance. I'm going to throw that out there now because I'm going to say that's probably yours. Am I correct, my friend?
You are absolutely correct.
Absolutely correct. And
It's a good 3.
the only reason that I was going back and forth because I let everybody pick theirs, and I figured I'll pick mine last because I'll see what everybody else is going to pick. And I was going to pick British Steel. I was absolutely going to pick British Steel, but United and You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise absolutely kills me on British Steel. I think those 2 songs, like, just God, like they could have did something different. But without British Steel, you're not going to have the rest of the Priest albums that you have. And I think Point of Entry is an underrated Priest album too. I just think that it's not as crunchy and metally as the other ones, but you can't go wrong with Priest. And God, we love these guys. All right, Steven, you're up. What do you got for us, my friend? Well, I'm going to say perhaps the best for last.
All right, so I'm going to paint a picture for you guys, right?
You're going to put some happy trees on there?
Yeah, I'm going to put some trees, some happy trees, some clouds, but I'm going to paint a picture of February 1983. A very young, probably 16, 17-year-old Stephen Michael is headed to Biloxi, Mississippi, 2 hours away from his home with his best friend and his mother driving them.
Awesome. Road trip with Mom.
A road trip with Mom. I'm heading down the highway, so to speak, pardon the pun.
Nothing to lose.
And I'm going to see my second real rock concert. Now, at this point in time, my first rock concert, as we probably all know by this point, was Van Halen on the Diver Down Tour 1982. So February 1983, I'm headed down the road, and I'm going to see Judas Priest on the World Vengeance Tour, Screaming for Vengeance. Now, Priest came onto my radar about the same time with both British Steel and Screaming for Vengeance. They both kind of came into my wheelhouse at the same time. So that's my Priest. So it kind of makes sense that they're 2 of the 3 trilogy for me. And I love British Steel. I don't know, I love Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise. I know it's a little bit poppier and a little bit different sound for them, but I actually like the riff and, I like the tune. I don't hate the tune. So that's just me. But the record that we're going to talk about is Judas Priest, Screaming for Vengeance. So we get to this concert. And back in the old days, you had to get to the venue early because you had to be first in line so that you could run your ass up to the front and get right on the barrier, which we did quite successfully. We made our way to that barrier and we were there. And the opening act was none other than my hidden gem, Heaven. So that was the opening act for this tour.
Really?
It was. On this particular date. So that's why they're my hidden gem. But the house lights go off, and all you got on stage is a back line of Marshall amps and 2 layers of scaffolding. And I'm sure you can go online, but the lights go off, and the Hellion screams out through the PA, and Priest hits the stage, and Rob Halford is singing the beginning of Electric Eye, but he's nowhere in sight. And I'm like, holy shit. And then a spotlight hits him and he's up on this thing and he's got cool sunglasses on. And I mean, that was the moment for me. Like the Hellion, Electric Eye, the shit. I mean, I'd never be the same again. I freaking was diehard Priest from that point on. And Electric Eye, such a pleasure to be able to see them do that on this last tour. Loved it. One of my definite all-time favorite Priest songs. Definitely one of my favorite songs on this record. My top 3 songs on this record, if I had to pick, I mean, you can throw a dart at any of the songs, including, which I'm not a ballads person, but songs like Take These Chains and Pain and Pleasure, I mean, those are pretty solid, like, slower Priest tunes. Those are really good, slower Priest tunes. My favorites on this record, Electric Eye, Screaming for Vengeance, and I go back and forth between Bloodstone and Devil's Child, but I really, really love Devil's Child. So there you go. And let me share this before I turn it over to you. So I thought it would be fun to share the set list from that night with you guys. So I looked it up, and here's the set list. They opened up with, obviously, a tape playing the Hellion. They opened up with Electric Eye. They went straight into Riding on the Wind, just like on the album. Then they went into Heading Out on the Highway, Metal Gods, Bloodstone, Breaking the Law, The Sinner, Desert Plains, The Ripper, Diamonds and Rust, Devil's Child, Screaming for Vengeance, You Got Another Thing Coming, Victim of Changes, Living After Midnight, Green Manalishi with the two-prong crown, and closing out the night, of course, what else but Hellbent for Leather.
That's an amazing set list. And I remember back in the day, remember when the King Biscuit Flower Hour used to be on?
Yeah.
I don't know when they played it where you were at. They played it on Sunday nights on our local rock radio station, Rock 107. And every week I had the speakers facing one another, and I had that tape recorder right in between those two speakers. And I got a lot of great shows. I got the Kiss one from Nashville that they had on there. They had a great Pat Travers show on there. But my all-time favorite was the Priest one from Memphis. It was probably right around when you saw them, because it was the same tour, and it was the one that actually ended up being a videotaped one. And I remember seeing that when you said the lights went down, and I could picture just watching that video, and I absolutely loved that. That version of Electric Eye is always now how it's embedded in my brain of how I picture him singing that song, just how he enunciated different parts in that song, and that is my all-time favorite concert of Priest ever, seeing that and hearing that. And I had that taped, and I wore that tape out. I was like heartbroken when that tape got fucking eaten, but just absolutely an amazing show. And I was 83, so that was that was the first year that I went to see a concert, and our first show was Iron Maiden. No, you said 82. It was 82. So it was a year before that I was.
No, it was 83.
Oh, was it 83?
The tour
went into 80. It started 82 and 83.
83.
Okay. So it was the year that I started going to see concerts. The first one I saw was Maiden, but just absolutely amazing. I envy you for being at that show. Cool, BB.
Yeah. Once again, I'm stepping on his shirt tails again. The same exact 3 that I have written down: Electric Eye, Screaming for Vengeance, and Devil's Child. And I can't be too far wrong if this is his album, and they're my picks. So good job, Stephen.
Dude, there is no right and wrong on this album.
No,
you
that's
could
for
say
sure.
any 3, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, cool.
This is an amazing album. I could do without Pain and Pleasure. And let me tell you, I don't like the way that Rob Halford does You Got Another Thing Coming nowadays live. He rushes through the chorus, and it kind of ruins the song for me. Because I'm I'm trying to sing along with you, Rob. Slow down. Just let me go. But otherwise, an amazing, amazing album. Love the album cover. It's such a really cool, just screaming eagle just coming down. You don't know what it's going for, but you know it's going to be killed, whatever it is going for. I think my 3 songs from this one are Bloodstone. Absolutely love that. And I was really happy that they played it the first time We saw them on the Firepower tour. That was really awesome. Devil's Child, like the two of you said, and Riding on the Wind.
Ooh.
Love that cool drum fill intro, and then goes right into the. There's a really cool version of it on Touch of Evil Live, I think is what it is. That version of it is really cool. And that's like the definitive version in my head for that, but it's a really awesome song and a great album.
Yeah. I remember when this album came out. Like I said, I had Unleashed in the East, and I got this when it came out. And I remember back in the days when MTV first came on, it was like pretty much the first Priest video that you saw. And I think I told you before, we had these girlfriends, and they lived in a couple towns down. We'd take the bus and walk. We didn't have MTV where we lived, so we like took the bus, and then we walked up this mile hill, and we watched MTV all day, and like you'd wait all day to see like maybe like 3 metal videos with all the other shit they were playing. And another thing coming, it was just like, wow, here it is. And it was one of the things, I believe the song was out before, the video was out before the album came out. I could be wrong on that, but I'm not sure. Man, I just remember like, man, Priest, they're just so fucking cool. Like, and then when that album came out, I got it, and it was one of them, like, one of the, back in the day where you used to have the album in front of you and you're studying it and you're looking at the album credits and the producers and who played on it and everything. Just absolutely amazing. And this is one of the albums that takes me back to that, point in my life where, where there wasn't, 50 albums out in a year that you were scratching your head to which ones you were going to listen to, where you had your certain, because you didn't have streaming, you didn't have bootleg shit. You had the album that you had enough money to buy in your hands. And like I said, I had there was 3 of us that would get albums, and we would share them, but you were still limited as to what you were listening to at the time. And that's when you really absorbed an album. Like, you would just like listen to the shit out of these albums. And Screaming for Vengeance, that one, and definitely Defenders of the Faith are my 2 go-to Priest albums. My trilogy, it's I gotta say the firepower is creeping in there, along Stained Class is like right there too. But the 3 songs that I would pick on there would definitely be where the hell are my picks? Oh, there they are. Riding on the Wind. I've always liked that. I've always liked the rockin' songs. Bloodstone, and like Dylan said, they played that on the first leg of the Firepower tour, and we were in the car before we went in, and I remember specifically saying I would go out of my fucking mind if they played Bloodstone. And they did. Me and BB were in the front like, holy fuck, like shit. Just freaking the fuck out when they played that. And Screaming for Vengeance, which I think is very close to maybe one of the first thrash metal songs out there. Like, just the intensity of the song and the rapidity of the vocals as he sings them, just fantastic. And I think it's and I apologize, Stephen, I hope you're not mad that we had you go last, even though you're our esteemed guest tonight, but I definitely wanted to save this album for last, because I think this is the album that really solidified them in the United States.
Oh, without a doubt.
Because Point of Entry didn't do too much, I think, here. British Steel was it was out there and they were known, but I think that once Another Thing Coming hit, and they hit right at the perfect time with MTV when that was just taking off, and it was the right album at the right time. And if you read K.K. Downing's book, he talks about it, that they wanted to release, I forget what other song he said that they wanted to release as a single, and they weren't even going to record Another Thing Coming. That was an add-on song that they did at the end. They weren't even going to put that song on the album. And then that ended up being their, one of their big songs that they're known for now. It just, kick ass. And before we wrap up, let me give you BC's picks for the albums. For Defenders of the Faith, he picked The Sentinel, Some Heads Are Gonna Roll, Eat Me Alive. For Screaming for Vengeance, Devil's Child, Electric Eye, and Screaming for Vengeance. For Painkiller, Touch of Evil, Hammer and the Anvil, and Painkiller. For Firepower, Never the Heroes, Evil Never Dies, and Flamethrower. And from Redeemer of Souls, I forgot about that one.
That was his
sorry about
album.
that was his album. Yeah. Hell and Back, March of the Damned, and Crossfire. And before we wrap up, you guys, I had everybody here pick a song that will be a wild card song, one of their favorite or their favorite Priest-song on an album that we didn't discuss tonight. Everybody got one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You didn't tell me about that, but that's all right. I got one.
Yes, I did.
You actually did, but that's all right. I got one.
I didn't or I did?
You did not.
I'm looking back through the texts. I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, you do that. It's
okay.
fine. I got one.
Okay, good. Dylan, go first.
I was hoping to go last so I could change it if anybody else picked it. I'm going to have to go off of Killing Machine or Hellbent for Leather if you're only familiar with that album title. Delivering the Goods.
Ooh.
It's a really awesome song. Again, we just got to, they played it. Did they play it live the last time we saw them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
on the,
good.
Yeah, that's on the store.
So good.
It's like,
And it's just got such an attitude to it. And the way that Rob Halford sings that chorus, it's just like,
da, 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 da. Like just, it flows so good.
it's like, it's got that cool vibe to it. So I'm going Delivering the Goods.
All right. Steven, what do you got?
So this is the perfect way to do this because I didn't overthink it. Otherwise, there would have been like, oh, I like that one, I like that one, I like that one. So that I did it the perfect way, which is you sprung it on me, and I'm going to go with Dissident Aggressor from the Sin After Sin record.
That is an awesome pick. BB is banging.
Jesus H. Christ!
Head against the wall.
You're welcome.
And that
Out
makes
of
it
the
all
whole
the better.
catalog, Stephen Michael.
Goddamn, Dissident Aggressor kicks ass.
When I'll go next. We'll talk about this one. I'll go next, and then you can pick another one if you want to.
You want me to? I can pick another one.
No. Jesus. It just we've been picking the same shit all night long.
God, man, I love that song.
Good pick, though. That is a great pick. And I'm sure you're familiar with the Hailstorm version of that too. Have you heard that?
Yeah, the Hailstone version's great too.
That's excellent too. That's a great song. That's so fucking funny.
Have you heard the Skid Row version of Delivering the Goods?
Yeah.
That's a good tune.
Yeah, and actually, there's a video out there of Rob Halford doing it with Skid Row.
Well, that's what's recorded. I mean, that's what's on that EP is Rob Halford and Sebastian Bach. But yeah, it's killer.
Yeah, that's great. They do an awesome job on that. And
Here, BB, I'll help you out. I'm gonna go with Sad Wings of Destiny and number 2 track Tyrant.
that's a good one too. That's real good.
Yeah, that's a great pick. That Dissident Aggressor, it just really showcases Halford's like his pitch range. It's just amazing. And then the guitar solo is just for 1977. It just
No shit. How heavy is that song? For
like you don't
77?
even expect it.
Yeah, that's
funny.
That's good. So are you changing to Tyrant or just fucking with him?
Whatever helps him out. I'm here to help.
Yeah, I mean both great songs, but excellent. I'm gonna go with my pick. I don't know. It's gonna sound mundane, but I think it is just an absolute fantastic song. I'm gonna go with Desert Plains. I've always loved that song. I love just the I can't say mellowness of it, just the groove to it. I love the I just love it, and I love it live. It is fantastic live.
That's another one that they played, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they played that this year.
And I was so happy when they brought that back. I was loving it. And I was talking before about the Ripper Owens stuff that they recorded during the sound check, and I used it actually as my hidden gems on another episode. But my all-time favorite version of that is the sound check version with Ripper Owens doing it. It is just such a clean sounding version, and it is fucking excellent. So I mean, just totally kick ass. And all right, so either you guys changing your picks or no?
No, I would have expected you, Steve, to go with something like, since you said you were such a huge fan of Stained Class, I would have expected you to go with something like Exciter or something.
I was gonna go Saints in Hell actually, because I've always liked that song, and I went crazy when they played it live. But like Desert Plains is always one of my go-to Priest songs. I don't know why. There's not a ton of stuff that I really love on Point of Entry, but like that's my wild card song. That's my my go-to song on an album that I don't really listen to a lot, but I always listen to that song. I mean, and the only two songs you really hear from that are that and Heading Out to the Highway. But I definitely enjoy the Desert Plains. It's just
I like Solar Angels.
That's not bad either. That's another great song.
Yeah.
There's so many deep Priest tracks that maybe one of these times Steve will get you back. We'll do like what's your favorite 5 songs of Priest that people never heard? I think would be a good episode for us to do. Dig a little deeper out there.
Did BC send in his?
Yes, BC's wild card song was Grinder from British Steel.
Yeah.
Which is another great song, and I think that's.
Didn't they also play that as well?
No, I actually was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get like Metal God or Grinder from British Steel on this last tour that I did. And the other thing that disappointed me, like I was really happy about Electric Eye and Free Will Burning, but I had read because I'm one of those guys that goes and looks on set list up on Setlist FM before the show because I want to get excited about stuff, but I was really excited because it had listed that they had been playing Tyrant, but they didn't play it at my show.
Oh, we didn't get that either.
Now, did you guys have Glenn in your show?
Yeah, did Glenn Tipton play at your show?
No, it was Sneak.
Okay. He didn't come out at either one of our shows either. And actually, the first time we saw him, he came out at the second show, because we saw him the first show on the tour. And he came out
the first time.
The first time.
They played it on the first. They played Grinder on the first.
Yeah, yeah. Glenn came out and played the show after we saw him on the first show in Wilkes-Barre, and then he came out the show before we saw them at Bethel Woods.
Like the 3 shows before.
And then he played the show after, like our show, and then he didn't play it. And then Rob Halbert came out, Glenn loves you. I'm thinking, fuck, he's not coming out. And he didn't come out. I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, I'd seen him twice, but he didn't come out on any other show. Which, hey, God bless him for doing any shows. I'm glad he could at least get out there and do some shows, and we'll have it on video to go. Before we wrap up and go around the table one more time, I want to mention that our buddies, the band Harpo, their singer John Lloyd Kinster had a stroke a couple months back. I think we talked about it a little bit. He's got a long recovery going on. And I'm gonna read something real quick here. It's an ad. They're doing a benefit for him coming up this Sunday. It'll be I'll just read it here real quick. Billy Rock and Chris Elvani from Harpo, along with their side project Sucker Punch, will host a benefit for Harpo singer John Lloyd Kinster, who suffered an unfortunate health issue in August. The event will take place at the River Street Jazz Cafe in Plains, Pennsylvania, October 7th, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., featuring Sucker Punch, the Bon Jovi tribute band 7800 Degrees Fahrenheit, and AC/DC tribute band Halfway to Hell. $10 donation will be accepted at the doors. The doors open at 4. We hope to see all the fans of live music out there come and support this great cause. John is a great guy. We've known John for years. He just a fantastic singer, great keyboard player. He was always nice to us guys when we would come to see Harpo. And just an awesome guy. We hope he's having a speedy recovery. And if you guys out there, if you're in the Wilkes-Barre area on this Sunday on the 7th, go check them out. And there's some freaking great shit. Sucker Punch kicks fucking ass. The Bon Jovi tribute, I've never seen them, but hopefully they'll play some rock songs, not the country shit that they're playing now. If you have never seen Halfway to Hell, the AC/DC tribute band, go to this benefit. It is a great cause, and this band is an amazing AC/DC tribute band. They have a guy that sings the Bon Scott stuff, and they have a guy that sings the Brian Johnson stuff, and the band is very, very AC/DC, like just a grinding, pounding rhythm machine these guys are. And the guy that plays Angus is absolutely phenomenal at guitar player. So get out there, support this cause, you guys. It's only $10 to get in. You have 5 hours of just kick-ass music. I'm sure there's going to be lots of grog and booze and shit going on there. BB and BC are going to be out of town. I'm hoping to get there and give our podcast, have our podcast give these guys a little bit of love. And so get out there and support this great cause. And John, we wish you, the best of wishes and a speedy recovery. And with that, we'll go around the table one more time, and we'll say our good nights. Dylan, go ahead.
I'm glad we got to talk about Judas Priest. We've always had some form of Priest in a couple of other episodes. Definitely in the ones where we would pick songs. We would always have a Priest song here and there. There's a reason Rob Halford is called the Metal God, and his voice is just amazing. It's still amazing today, and I think that's something to celebrate. That's why we had Firepower as one of the albums. Like a band that's still able to put out phenomenal music that rivals their best work in their heyday. It's a band that we have to talk about, and Priest is that band. And every album we talked about, I was really happy we got to listen to, because it's some really good stuff. And if you haven't listened to it in a while, or maybe you haven't given Priest a try out these albums. They're all phenomenal. Redeemer of Souls might drag a little bit, in my opinion, but every other album I would, without any hesitation, recommend anybody listen to.
Yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head. These guys are phenomenal for being out there as long as they have. Rob's voice, whatever they're doing with his voice nowadays, is amazing. And their latest album is fucking off the scale. It's just a great thing that this old band that's been around forever comes out and kicks fucking ass on a live concert. It's just a great testament of time, of showing these bands that are out there now trying to make it like what you need. Like, these guys are knocking it out of the park every night. And it's a great thing that we did this, because I haven't listened to Redeemer of the Souls probably since it came out. I probably gave it 1 or 2 listens. I'm like, yeah, it's all right. But there are some good songs on there. So it's a great little homework thing too, that you're throwing Judas Priest around and throw them in your headphones and absorbing that old songs that you may not listen to in your normal shuffle play of music that's out there today.
All right, cool. Steven.
Yeah, so 2018 has been kind of the year of revisitation to Priest for me. When we talk about on our show the Growin Up Rock years and the Growin Up Rock bands that were important to us, Judas Priest definitely plays a huge part in that for me personally. And with the new album coming out this year and being so fantastic, it has prodded me to go back and re-listen to a lot of stuff that I just haven't listened to in quite some time, so much to the point that I went and picked up a lot of the reissued catalog that I didn't have in my library. So it's been very positive for me. Just a fantastic band. They're not going to be around forever. They're getting older, so I urge people to go check them out on this tour if they can.
Absolutely. Steven, give your podcast another shot here.
Growin Up Rock Podcast. You can get that anywhere that you would get your favorite podcast. We release a new episode pretty much every Sunday night, roughly around 5 or 6 in the evening. So go there and check it out. There's new episodes every week. We do a combination of interviews or themed episodes, basically. So we go back and forth. My co-host and the most important one on the podcast, Sonny Hollywood Pooney, because he's the one with all the followers. I just kind of, put it together and coordinate it. So it's all good.
Yeah, I first of all, before I get into the pre stuff here, Steven, thank you once again for joining us. It's always a blast having you on here. We love having you on the show. Your insight and I love our ball busting that goes back and forth. I'm not going to let you off the hook, however. when you guys did an episode a while back and you were talking about the awesome band Pantera, we did an episode a while ago about debut albums, and BC picked the Cowboys from Hell album as a debut album, as you did. And
Cowboys from Hell wasn't a debut, though.
Thank you. It's not.
But you picked it, though.
I've got Projects in the Jungle. Are you sure it was me?
It was you. I listened. I'm like, holy shit, he said it. Because I'm like, Dylan would have been all over your shit.
Did I preface that with saying like a debut album with Pantera and their new sound or something like that?
I don't know, but I'm like, Dylan would not let BC off the hook, so I thought I would give you a little shot on that.
No, I'm
gonna have to go back and listen to that.
I actually pride myself because I have the original cassette for Projects in the Jungle, which of course was Pantera and their hard rock phase, right?
They're Glam Terra.
Yeah, the Glam Terra
thing.
And
yeah.
I used to play that record for people and tell them it was the new Def Leppard.
Oh, really?
Because it was kind of along the lines of like a High and Dry sort of.
Oh,
right?
really? You know, and I can honestly say I've never heard any of the Glam Terra stuff. I heard that it is like nothing
Projects
even close.
in the Jungle is actually a reasonable record.
Oh, really?
Check out Projects in the Jungle. Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of something that's kind of maybe off of like a High and Dry era Def Leppard.
Really?
You know, yeah, it's rock. I mean, check it out for yourself. Yeah, it's probably, listen, let me just say this. I haven't listened to that record in quite some time, but that's what I remember it being. It might be a little bit sounding dated now. I'm sure the production's not great on it because it's old as shit, but I would urge you to go at least check it out because I think it's important to at least know where that band came from.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you know I got to bust your ass at some point in the show.
Please do. I have no problem. Like
absolutely.
For God's sakes, we did an Eclipse interview where I called the guitar player the wrong name the entire interview. So.
I know. It was funny because I was listening to that when I was at my other son's golf tournament. But you know what? I give you absolute credit though because you called yourself out on it.
Yeah,
before
I called myself out on that, and something I didn't call myself out on is I actually pronounced the album wrong because for some reason I kept thinking that the newest record, which really isn't new anymore, was called Momentum, but it's actually called Monumentum. And so I mean, you know, I'm an idiot. I admit it. Hello, but God damn it, I love Eclipse.
Oh, they're great. They're a fantastic band, and that was a great interview with those guys. And it was cool too that you kind of had a surprise. You thought it was just going to be the one guy, and you ended up with three guys there.
Well, and that's what somebody wrote in. Like somebody wrote in and said. And he's being honest, and I always tell people, look, I appreciate all feedback, good or bad, as long as you have something, to say reasonable and you're not just bullshitting.
Right.
But somebody wrote in and goes, the interview sounded uncomfortable, and I'm like, well, you know what? That's sort of a valid point because when I do interviews, I usually prep myself. Like I do a lot of research on people that I'm interviewing usually. So when I interview somebody, I'll do all this research. I'll sit down and I'll be ready for the interview. Well, so my deal was that I was interviewing Eric Martinson from Eclipse. And all my research was done on Eric Martinson, and all my questions were dedicated towards Eric Martinson. So when he showed up and said, hey, do you mind if Magnus and Philip joined the conversation, what was I going to say?
What are you going to say, no? Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say no. I said, yeah, you know, the more the merrier. I get three-fourths of Eclipse instead of just one. So sure, come on, join in, and we're sharing two mics. And so to make them feel like they were included in the conversation.
Yeah, you got to talk to everybody.
Yeah, I sort of had to say, well, what do you think about that? And then there was time for them to have to pass the mic to each other. So yeah, I kind of got that feedback, and I was like, you know, that's fair, it's valid. You know, I mean, I did what I could to make it not feel that way, but if somebody noticed that in the interview, then it's fair enough. Is basically what I would say.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a good interview. I really enjoyed it. And you guys out there, of course, after you listen to our podcast, check out Growin Up Rock. They have a ton of great episodes. Sonny and Steven have a great rapport, and they have a lot of great topics. I love their new music spotlight that they do.
Oh, yeah.
And they had Dream Child. We talked about that before. The band with Craig Goldie, Rudy Sarazo's in that band also too. And they got a lot of cool stuff. And back to Judas Priest real quick. It was a pleasure finally doing a show on Priest. I hope we did the albums that we talked about justice, and we could definitely do an episode in the future of, like I said, name the 5 Priest songs that you think people should listen to that they haven't, that aren't the Breaking the Laws, the Another Thing Coming, Metal Gods, shit like that they play all the time, stuff that, like kind of a deeper track kind of thing. There's so much good shit out there. I mean, I think their first album came out in 1974, and their latest album is 2018. So there's a whole, massive career there. And are Judas Priest relevant in 2018? You bet your fucking ass they are. The new album, and I totally agree with Steven that this album should be on everyone's top albums of the year. They are, they're a force in metal, and it was actually kind of a weird pairing seeing them with Deep Purple, but it was cool though. Deep Purple was great. You could see Ian Gillan struggled a little bit, but hey, the dude's like almost fucking 70 years old. And like Dylan said when we talked about the concert,
73. I looked it up.
73, no shit. We might have talked about this on an episode that we're
I don't know what you're talking
Banking?
about, so I can't tell you.
that we're banking because and Dylan said during the show him and BC were up front there, and people are sitting down, but here's the 73-year-old guy up there just like rocking the fuck out. And it's amazing to see these bands are still out there. And you guys go out there and support live music. These bands are not going to be around a whole lot longer. I would be surprised if you see Deep Purple tour again. I hope they do, because their last album was amazing, which I was a little dismayed that they didn't do any songs from their new album, which is phenomenal, because I ended up backstage with Ed Jankowskis, and the backdrop that you get your picture taken with the band is the new album Infinite, which was out in 2017, I think, but they didn't do any songs from it, which was really weird. But get out there and see these bands, and we appreciate you guys listening to us, and listen to us go on and on, especially me tonight. I think I really run off at the mouth tonight, and I apologize, but Dylan will cut a lot of shit out, I'm sure. And once again, thank you, Stephen Michael, for joining us here and putting up with us. And I hope, and we didn't actually keep you as late as we did last time. And it's always great talking metal with you. And say hello to the lovely Jennifer there and down there in Atlanta. And thanks, BB, and thanks, Dylan. Hopefully, BC will be back from being on assignment for our next episode. And thanks for listening, everybody. We will catch you next time, and there definitely will be a next time.
time.
Thank you. I was hoping he would join in there. Good night, everybody.